Woo, sister. What?
Is he gonna deliver sweet?
Oh my God! Woo, sister. What?
And very graceful escort. Many dolphins surf the ocean while gracefully jumping out of the water. Their jumps and playful turns not only demonstrate their strength and agility, but also create a mesmerizing spectacle. It is not so easy to recognize a dog in Undoubtedly, sooner or later, this cow will be noticed, and she will become a real star. The cows
unique creatures that inhabit environments under incredible conditions and blah, blah, blah. The thing is that nobody even has a notion who it is and what features it has. And now I'll tell you about what a real wolfhound is capable of. As it may seem to many people, in fact, it's a group of different powerful and large dogs.
Wow. Just for most domesticated hamsters, this crazy distance is covered via whirling on their wheels. However, when multiple hamsters simultaneously decide it's time for a jog, things can take a turn for the worst.
I just want to ask you one question, Mr. Chairman. The American people want to know what happened on Epstein Island. I'm not going to drop this topic. You've subpoenaed Bill Clinton. He's going to fight you tooth and nail with the best lawyers in the country in some cases. Do you think Bill Clinton ever actually testifies? I think his date is what, October 12th?
Yes. I think we have a very good chance at this. I've never lost a subpoena battle. I've been chairman of that committee for a year and a half. This is the most challenging subpoena I've ever issued. But what makes this subpoena different is that the Democrats voted with Republicans. This is a bipartisan, congressionally approved subpoena. And I think that will hold a lot of weight in court. And you're absolutely right. He's going to have the best lawyers in America fighting us tooth and toenail on this. But the fact that this was voted on by Republicans and Democrats, because we're hearing from our constituents, everybody in America wants to know what went on at Epstein Island. And we've all heard reports that Bill Clinton was a frequent visitor there. So he's a prime suspect to be deposed by the House Oversight Committee. So hopefully we'll win that court battle with that subpoena and see President Clinton in October.
I hope so.
The Constitution doesn't give us rights. It protects our inalienable rights. And the Sixth Amendment, it's one of the most practical, boots-on-the-ground protections that we have when the government points its finger at you. Here's what it actually says, condensed. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused has the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury, to know the charges, to face witnesses, to call their own, and to have the assistance of a lawyer. It sounds simple, but every word is there because the people who wrote it knew what it was like to be dragged through a justice system that was anything but just. In England, you could be locked up without knowing the charges. You could be hauled off in the night, tried in secret, your accusers hidden from view. You could be forced to stand alone, no lawyer, no witnesses, and no hope. The framers lived through governments that used trials as weapons, so they wrote this down as a line in the sand. Speedy, because justice delayed is justice denied. Public, so the process can't be hidden in the shadows. An impartial jury, not your enemies and not your friends, but a cross-section of the people. To know the charges, no guessing game, no fishing expedition. To face witnesses, no secret informants who can destroy you without showing up. To call your own witnesses, because defense isn't just answering, it's proving. And to have a lawyer, even if you can't afford one. And that last one, that's where the story of Gideon versus Wainwright comes in. Clarence Earl Gideon was accused of breaking into a pool hall in Florida. He couldn't afford a lawyer, so he asked the court for one. The court said no, because at the time, in many states, you only got a lawyer if it was a death penalty case. So Gideon lost, and he went to prison. But from his cell, he hand-wrote a petition to the Supreme Court asking for them to hear his case, something they were not obligated to do, but they agreed. In 1963, the court ruled that the right to a lawyer isn't just for some people in some cases. It's for everyone, because without it, the rest of the amendment collapses. At his retrial, with an attorney, Gideon was acquitted, not because he gamed the system, because the system finally gave him a fair fight. And here's why this matters. The Sixth Amendment is not glamorous. It's not loud. It doesn't make headlines like the First or the Second, but it is the firewall between any of us and the government that could accuse, prosecute, and punish without real proof. And in a time when court backlogs grow, when secret plea deals pressure innocent to confess, when surveillance can gather information you don't even know exists, this amendment is a quiet powerhouse. Here's the takeaway. If you care about your rights, then you care about everyone's rights in court, even the people you don't like, even the people you think are guilty. Because the moment you let the government bend the rules for them, it can bend them for you. The First Amendment is your voice. The Second Amendment is the last resort. The third keeps the soldiers out of your home. The fourth blocks your privacy from search and seizure. The fifth says you don't have to help build a case against yourself. And the sixth is your defense when you're accused. Not for privilege, not for loopholes, but for justice. Because in this country, you don't stand alone. Not if we mean what we say.
Y'all are never gonna guess what I found. Well, what found me? So this guy was seen in the sky in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and other places. Turns out I have friends in Pennsylvania. And yesterday just happened to have a lot of curious events in it. Well, let me preface this video by saying that they said it was a satellite. Of course they would not lie to us. This video belongs to Jessica, and this information belongs to Melissa. She has a family very involved with the Navy. Also, shout out to Santino Guzzo, because a lot of pictures I'm going to use in this video belongs to him. So Melissa's sister was at the beach yesterday, and she had noticed that there were Navy carriers actually on the beach. Now, they know as a military family that it's not normal. Their carriers are docked in Virginia, and they only go out when there's a mission. Look at that thing. Why would a satellite come out to this size? Now we know the Navy carriers are completely unrelated. On to a completely different subject. Now, completely unrelated, don't forget we just had that steel mill explosion in Pennsylvania. Back to the spiral, completely unrelated, but it wasn't just Navy carriers. There were Navy jets in the air. Yeah, they exist, and that comes from a military family, who's always been a military family, I believe. And also, they know when things are normal and not normal, especially her mom and dad. This behind me is not Pennsylvania. This was the Russian spiral, I believe, that occurred last year. Do you notice anything weird about it? It looks exactly the same, even the flanges of light coming off of it. Now, 1000% unrelated on a completely different subject. Did you know that Aleister Crowley, Warner Von Braun, Jack Parsons, a whole bunch of guys got together and they're doing rituals in the desert? It was said they were opening a portal. Not too long after that, we had Roswell happen, but before Roswell, I found something very strange with the rituals. I have a whole video on the summoning of the moonchild in the desert, you can go watch it. When Crowley was doing his rituals in the desert, something called a cake of light, center of Gnostic mass and mass of the phoenix. A grand light that appears in the ritual. Do you know what this is? This is the Norwegian spiral from 2009. This is the Norway spiral. There were spirals all over the earth for years before SpaceX was even founded, just a fun fact. By the way, did I tell you that Jack Parsons made it as a major in the armed forces? Literally, the same guy that was by Crowley, Von Braun, all of them. So why do all these spirals look the same? And you want to know something weird and completely unrelated? A whole nother subject, but you know in all those movies when they open portals, they have crazy lightning? And the lightning and the thunder is so powerful where it shakes everything in their whole laboratory. That's crazy, right? Not related, but it reminds me of all the crazy storms we had leading up to yesterday. In the north and northeast where the thunder and lightning was extremely violent and strong. People were even saying they could feel the ground shaking like never before when that lightning was going on. I forgot to add a crucial detail. This right here is how crazy the human frequency is. You know, frequency, energy, etc. 2025, isn't it so cool that we were able to see a satellite in the sky?
People are outraged after supermarkets are now using facial recognition cameras to detect your behaviour, name, and even age. Check this out. Here's an example of how it works. Essentially, it will pick up your face and then it will give you an estimate of your race, your age, and even your height, and so forth. So here's an example. As you can see, this man is stood here. It's giving a rough estimate of his age, somewhere around 30, early 30s. It's giving his race, emotion on his face. So as you can see, the emotion is neutral. And then this one has an emotion of angry or fearful, which is absolutely wild. So supermarkets are now using these kind of special AI technology and facial recognition cameras to detect any unusual suspicious behaviour. And essentially what their plans are is to maybe detect shoplifters. Maybe if someone walks in looking a little bit nervous, they're going to take items from the shelves. Now, I want to see what you guys think about this. How do you feel about this? Because a lot of people in the original video of this basically aren't too happy with it because they're saying, you know, I don't want this facial recognition camera on me. I feel a little bit awkward about it. I don't want, you know, these AI systems detecting who I could be or my name and age and so forth. But
Lithuania is now in a full-scale agricultural emergency. Government officials confirmed that between 50 and 70% of this year's harvest has been either destroyed or severely damaged by relentless summer rainfall. In many farming regions, the fields are so flooded that heavy machinery can't even reach them, leaving crops to rot in standing water. The produce that survives is downgraded in quality, further eroding market value. June and July brought the second heaviest rainfall on record for the country, surpassed only in 2007. Some areas saw more than double their normal precipitation. The losses stretch across wheat, other grains, and vital root crops like potatoes, though officials haven't yet detailed which crops have been hit the hardest. 13 municipalities had already declared local emergencies. Now, with the national declaration, emergency powers are in place to help farmers salvage what they can. Deadlines will be waived, penalties reduced, and state-level resources deployed. Neighboring Latvia is facing a similar disaster, warning that much of its harvest may never be collected. In Lithuania, the damage covers thousands of hectares, and the full impact on food supply and export markets is still unfolding. This is shaping into one of the worst agricultural losses the Baltic region has seen in decades, and the season is far from over.
The door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
And with ADD Security, I just wanted to stop by, let you guys know there's been some break-ins in the neighborhood. I'll leave a pamphlet on the side of the house, and just give us a call if you guys are interested in any type of home security.
Hello? 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 Something there? Anyone? Hello? Please open the door. Hello? Hello? I want to help. I'm so scared.
What's up, man? I'm like, what are we doing? Dropping stuff here. We dumping stuff? Okay, well, we got on camera. So, all right. Here's your license plate number. 019. All right, thank you.
There's like a trend of millennials cutting off their parents because baby boomer parents don't really involve themselves in their children's life to a period of inconvenience. For the average person's childhood, like they were at their grandparents a lot. They were being watched a lot. They were being toted around by their grandparents a lot. And so the millennials are having children and they're assuming, okay, my parents are going to have the same relationship I had with my grandparents, which always being at their home, always around, always this. And then they call their parents for anything, the baby boomer parents, and everything's an inconvenience. You know, watching the children is an inconvenience. I got stuff going on. I'm still living my life. I'm not stopping. And your mom was even saying she had talked to someone that said, you know, when my children have grandchildren, I'm not stopping my life for them. You know, and I said, okay, well, that is the fruit when the kids kind of start. There's a trend for millennials of putting their feet down with their parents to say, hey, you can't talk to my kids this way, or when you have my kids, please respect and, you know, give them this type of diet or whatever. And then the baby boomer parents are like, I'm doing whatever I want.
The most drastic thing that happened in the summer of '69 was all of a sudden they took all the marijuana and all the hallucinogens were taken out of Atlanta. And the only drug you could buy was the heroin. The only drug you could buy was heroin. And we were drug users, so we started using heroin. Good planning. And then people started dying off. People started ODing, dying, just became, you know, useless, worthless junkies. And that was the most effective diffuser of the revolution that they, you know, came up with, and it worked. But to be in what we really thought was a revolution, I mean, people were dying. I remember when Dr. King was assassinated, I flew from Atlanta to Memphis and marched with, you know, those people that night.
You were at usher at his funeral?
Yeah.
Well, what was that day like?
Wow. Pretty solemn. You know, things had calmed down quite a bit because I remember the night Dr. King was assassinated, I was at a campus movie. I mean, revolutionary, because I still like movies, but so I was at a campus movie, and the movie was John Goldfarb, Please Come Home. And a guy came in and said, Dr. King has been killed. You motherfuckers sitting here watching a fucking movie. We need to be in the streets tearing some shit up. And everybody's like, all right. We will. Just let us finish watching the movie. It was funny.
Reno, Nevada. Check this guy out. Hey, this is Giles, buddy.
Go ahead. You know what's in the article?
Looks like he's with a date. Yeah, this guy definitely doesn't know where he lives. He's hiccuping and everything. Reno. Looks like his date left him. Now he's just out there all by himself. Okay, somebody come get this guy. Atlanta, Georgia. Check out this pink-haired lady. Look like she... Hey, this is a jail apartment lady. Los Angeles, California. This guy thinks he's some sort of human mouse or something. Did he really think he could fit through that little crack in the gate? What's wrong with you, guy, dude? Get lost! Los Angeles, California. No, this is a jailhouse lady.